So we're going to solve this equation. Actually, I'm gonna, yeah, that's fine. Okay. I was trying to think about if I should go in a different order of problems, but it's fine. Okay. So we're going to solve this equation. We got dy over dx equals xy squared. So if you remember from the last video, we're trying to get all the x's on one side and all the y's on one side. So my stuff here. Oops. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by dx. So times dx times dx. So now I have dy equals xy squared dx. And I want to move that y squared over, so now I'm going to divide by y squared. So I got dy over y squared equals x dx. And our next step is going to be to do the integral of both sides. And so before I do that, I'm going to rewrite this as y to the negative 2 dy equals x dx. And so I'm going to do integral of both sides. And so let's see, we're going to do our power rule where we add 1 and divide by it. So that would be y to the negative 1 over negative 1. And then technically you should put a plus c right here. And then this guy will turn into x squared over 2. And I'm going to just put all my c's on one side and call it a plus c. We know that we could have done y to the minus 1 over 1 plus c equals x like c1 and x squared over 2 plus c2. But then we would just have to move that c1 over. So really what we're saying is this capital C is that c2 minus c1. C is just a constant, so it doesn't really matter like what you call it. It's going to be a number in the end. Okay, and now we're trying to solve for y. So first thing, I'm going to make this right side of the equation all one fraction. So I got y to the minus 1 over negative 1 equals, this will be x squared plus 2c over 2. Okay. So now that I'm trying to solve for y, I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 1 to get rid of that negative 1. That's multiplied by negative 1, not subtracting. So now I got y to the minus 1 equals, I'm just going to put a negative out in front, x squared plus 2c over 2. And now I'm going to rewrite this as 1 over y. So I got 1 over y equals negative x squared plus 2c over 2. Depending on who you ask, this is good enough. Like you could stop here. I would be okay if you stop here. If you wanted to actually say y equals 1 over y, technically you would be multiplying by y on both sides and then dividing by this giant fraction. Really what ends up happening is you get y equals, and this is really y over 1. So this thing and this thing are reciprocals, which means the y will equal the reciprocal of this. So you can also write it as just y equals, and then flip this guy over. So negative 2 over x squared plus 2c. Okay, so either one of these is fine. If you get here and you're like, that's as far as I'm going to get, that's cool. If you want to make it actually say y equals, y is the reciprocal of 1 over y, so your answer is going to be the reciprocal of this. Either one is fine with me. Okay, but so this reciprocal thing, this is where, people have differences about whether you should stop there or keep going, whatever. Okay. So there's that. Let's see what the next one is. Okay, so now we have dy over dx equals x plus 1 over y minus 1. So we're going to start the same. We're going to start the same way we did before. So multiply both sides by dx. Those cancel. So now I got dy equals x plus 1 over y minus 1 dx. And then I'm going to multiply both sides by y minus 1 so that those guys cancel. So now I have y minus 1 dy equals x plus 1 dx. And then I'm going to do the integral of both sides. So let's see, this will be y squared over 2 minus the antiderivative of 1 would be y, and then equals on this side x squared over 2 plus the antiderivative of 1 would be x. The left side was y because it's the y side. The right side is x because it's the x side. And then we put a plus c. And let's see. I'm going to try to get rid of these fractions. So I'm going to multiply everything over here by 2 and everything over here by 2. So this first term will just turn into y squared, but then I'll have a minus 2y, and then equals, that looks like we're multiplying by 2, not squaring something, just so that's clear. So then over here, this will be x squared plus 2x plus 2c, and that's honestly as good as it's going to get. I mean, you could factor out a y and then try to divide, but then you're going to get a y on this side. This is as good as it's going to get. So honestly, I would just stop right here. You know, that's what I would do.